I keep meeting my birth mom, but she doesn't know it's me. She had me when she was 14, and I, 24M, was given up for adoption. My parents told me about her growing up. I still have the letter she wrote me that she asked if they could give it to me if they wanted. It's crazy reading it sometimes and knowing it was a literal child who wrote it saying she's sorry she couldn't be my mommy, but she hopes I'm happy. She was open to having contact, but we moved from my dad's job when I was 11, and then it seemed impossible to find her. But luckily I did. She's working at this small restaurant, and I keep going, but she doesn't know it's me. We talk sometimes, and she seems like a nice lady. Sometime when she says something like, "Do you want a refill, honey?" or uses another term like that, I want to tell her. IDKY, it makes me nervous. We talk sometimes, and she seems really genuine. If it's not super busy, she's more open to talking about random stuff. I literally drive 2 hours to come eat at this place just to see her. And it's like she knows me already because I'm there once or 2 times a week for the past 3 months, so she always says hi with a big smile. But man, if only she knew. Update. Well, I did it, I told her. And yeah, it was pretty heavy. My heart was even beating fast. I kept trying to think how to tell her. Many of the comments on my last post here mentioned writing her a letter, just how she wrote a letter for me. Originally that was the plan, but for me it felt like I needed to say it. Oh, really quick, I want to say thanks to everyone for their love and support. Mostly to all the birth parents out there who shared their stories with me. That's what really helped push me to have the courage to confront her. It meant so much, so thanks. Everything happened day before yesterday, by the way. I did wait for her to be done with her shift, and that was when they were closing the restaurant already, and waited in the parking lot. We said hi when she saw me first, but then I told her there was something serious that she needed to know. First told her sorry for keeping it from her this long. She didn't react until I actually pulled out her letter, and she started bawling from there, like screaming and crying at the same time, and didn't even have to finish the whole "I'm your son" speech. She just saw it and knew. It was crazy. Next thing I know, she's hugging me instantly, but then she pulled back and asked if it's okay to hug me. Obviously it is, and we're just there hugging and crying in the parking lot. It hit her hard though. Her legs gave out for a second, so I had to actually hold her up while she's still hugging me for a min. What really got me was her saying to me, "Look how big you got." Also, hearing her cry made me cry too. She went back to open the restaurant up. She wouldn't take no for an answer. We had coffee, ate a slice of their pie inside, and talked. So many stuff we talked about. She told me the second time I came to the restaurant she got a feeling, but for her it was hard to believe it was me. So that feeling she had was pushed way down. Because she told me for years after I was adopted she saw kids that would be my age and used to think they were me. Then she would be crying in public. It fucked with her mind a lot and made her depressed, so she didn't want to do the same when she saw me getting her hopes up like that. She says I look so much like my biological dad when he was younger, though. We talked about him too. They stayed in contact with each other in case I ever reached out to one of them, so it would be easier to contact the other. I didn't have hope about finding my biological dad since he was never mentioned, so I'm glad they both planned for this future scenario. She told me about how they wanted to keep me, especially my biological dad. He didn't want me to be adopted. But he knew they had to, because they were just kids. It took him a long time to get past it after I was born, she told me. That's why he didn't leave anything, because he didn't want to believe he might not see me again. We talked for hours, till almost 2 in the morning. They closed at 11. She just wanted to know everything about me, but her main thing was, am I happy? Were my parents good to me? Did I have a happy childhood? And I did. I told her thank you for helping to give me this life. We both cried again. She cried the most. Everything was very emotional for her. Sometimes she would look really happy, but then get sad again. After my 18th birthday, she was hoping I would find her, that's why she stayed in the same city. But since I didn't, she always thought maybe I resented her, wasn't told I'm adopted, or maybe had decided it was better not to have her around. It made me feel bad for not telling her sooner. She told me it's not my fault and I did right going at my own pace. Honestly, she's so sweet. The way she kept looking at me with the biggest smile, it made me emotional sometimes. Makes you think, how can someone who's been a total stranger her whole life look at you with so much love? It's wild. We learned so much about each other. She asked me if we could have dinner soon to keep talking, and if at some point in the future, if I'm interested, come over to her house so I can meet her husband. That all sounded really great. We exchanged numbers, After I left, she sent a text telling me thank you for giving her this gift that she didn't know if it would ever come. My girlfriend came over and she hugged me while I cried. I wasn't sad, BTW, these were happy tears. Everything went better than I expected. There was still emotionally heavy stuff, but I'm still glad that we got to open up to each other. Met my biological dad for the first time ever, and I'm very happy about it. Update. Lots of you asked to let you know how it goes meeting my biological dad, and to say it was emotional is an understatement. I've been feeling so many things since this all happened. We met a few days ago. Was originally supposed to be almost 2 weeks ago, but shit kept coming up. Work, and then I got sick, not COVID, for days. But we made it happen. TBH, this was more nervous for me because I didn't know anything about him. With my bio mom, it was different because I watched her from far and got to know her a little before it came out. I asked my bio mom if she could be there too, just because she knows him better, so it was the two of us waiting for him at this park. He was already crying before we even got to him. This guy is strong too, so he pulled me in for the biggest bear hug and crying. He told me he wants me to know that they loved me so much and he loves me. I lost count how many times he'd come back in for one more hug. This definitely got to him, and he kept saying thank you God a few times. Looking at my face. The feelings, man. The feelings. We had so many of them. Hearing him tell me how much they love me even back then. It meant so much for me to hear that. An NGL that had me holding him tight too. I'm sure to everyone at the park it was weird seeing 3 crying people, LOL. My bio dad said he cried so many times just driving over here he didn't think he had any more tears until he saw us. When we were all sitting down, it hit me that my bio mom was not lying when she said we look alike. Obviously he's older, but still, holy shit, the similarities. He brought gifts too, which was a surprise. It was really nice. He told me I don't have to keep them if I don't want it, but he felt weird not coming with anything, and he's wanted to give this to me for a long time. One was a teddy bear holding a picture frame of him at the hospital holding me. He was 15 years old. It's still crazy to realize that. And then the other thing was a journal. The journal thing was stuff he said he started writing to me years after I was adopted. He was in therapy, and that helped him to cope, thinking he would give them to me one day. His way of still feeling connected to me. I haven't read everything yet, but some of the pages were his thoughts, and like if he's talking to me, how he felt when they found out she was pregnant, then the adoption, everything going on in his mind when he first got to hold me as a baby. I didn't even know he was at the hospital too. It was not what I was expecting. It really got me. I read some more of what he wrote last night that really got me crying. I'm sad to think how much this affected them emotionally for years. Also, think it's pretty sweet he wanted to write this for me. We talked about his own life, which was pretty hard. His struggles with home life and the feelings he had about giving me up. Then, he wanted to know everything about me. Basically with the same questions my bio mom had. I made sure they knew they made the right decision, because my life was pretty great. He looked like he wanted to cry when he knew that, because that's all they hoped for. And it was something he always wondered about for years. My bio mom left a bit after we were more comfortable so we could talk more in private once it didn't feel too awkward between us. From there, he told me stories about how he met my bio mom. Sometimes he'd point out stuff he noticed about me that reminds him of her or me, and him having similar likes. Example, I love eating mangoes. I can eat them all day, and that's what I bought when we bought snacks at the park. He told me my bio mom was obsessed with mangoes 7 before she got pregnant. While pregnant, she craved it even more. Just cool info to know, even if it's random stuff, LOL. It's still stuff we have in common, and we both have lots. Both like hiking, playing pool. He was a swimmer in college, and I was on a swim team in high school. Both love rock music, especially 90s. My bio dad was really open about sharing everything. Like, he really was getting ready for this meeting. He hoped it would happen, and he prayed every day to see me again because he had so many things he wanted to tell me. Overall, really good first meeting. I'm glad how it went. He's open to the idea of meeting my parents. After I told them about all this, because they definitely want to meet my bio parents again if I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, if my bio parents are too. Let's see when that happens. IDK how it's gonna feel for me. They've met each other before I was even born, but I never had them at the same place, so that'll be interesting, LOL. Me and my parents met up yesterday to have breakfast so I could tell them everything. My mom was so happy how it went. She actually cried too when I was telling them about both their reactions. My dad was proud because he knew how hard it was the months after finding my bio mom and not really wanting to make contact yet. I'm really happy to have their support because it's hard not to feel guilty about wanting to know more my bio parents. They gave me a really good life, so for a while it's felt like maybe to them I'm showing them that wasn't good enough for me, and I'd rather have my bio parents. But they told me many times they want me to do this for me, and they know how much I love them. And I really do. Finding them and meeting them was hard, but it was so worth it to me, and seeing their reactions made it feel even more worth it. Still can't believe it sometimes. I'm just realizing this has turned into a long post. My bad, haha. Writing this has been therapeutic, TBH. Kind of thinking back to everything that's happened. Feeling really grateful. Again, want to say thank you to everyone who has been on this journey with me. Everyone who sent me their own stories, their love, their encouragement. You guys have beautiful hearts, and I'm happy I had somewhere to talk about all this and receive so much love back. Just want to say to all the adopted kids out there, I wish you guys luck, and that you find what you're looking for. It's not easy at all. I feel fortunate that things didn't go badly, or that my bio parents aren't bad people. And to all the birth parents out there who made this sacrifice, thank you. It's because of you there are kids out there like me who gotta have a great life with loving parents.
My boyfriend doesn't want to marry me because I'm an immigrant. I, 29F, moved to the US 7 years ago as a grad school student from Indonesia. I met my boyfriend, 30 million, a few months after I moved, and we've been together ever since. My boyfriend is a US citizen. After I graduated, we had a serious discussion about where our relationship was headed. I made it very clear that I wanted to eventually get married and have children. My boyfriend echoed the sentiments. I remember asking him if he saw that happening with me, because I didn't want to be in a relationship with no future. He told me he loved me, and that we were definitely headed in that direction. As of last week, we've been dating for 7 years. We've occasionally talked about marriage, but we were both busy with our respective careers, so the timing didn't seem quite right. However, recently my company announced that there's a chance that my department's work will be outsourced. I'm on an H-1B visa, temporary worker, so this means that I need to start looking for a job ASAP if I want to continue staying in the US. Last week, during our anniversary, I brought this up. I asked him if he thought it was the right time to think about getting married, as that will also help with sorting out my visa issues. He looked like he was about to vomit. After much prodding, he confessed that he wasn't planning on us getting married before I was able to get a green card, permanent resident, in the US. I was incredibly confused because he'd never mentioned this before. His reason was that he didn't want to be used as a visa mule, his words, not mine, by me, and that he wanted to make sure that I married him because I loved him, and not because it was a ticket to getting to stay in the US, which can only happen when I get a GC. It took me a while to process what he said, and I asked him if he'd be okay to move to Indonesia with me, which he wasn't. I did not react well and ended up leaving because I couldn't deal with what just happened. I am still in disbelief. I started dating him because he was the kindest, most thoughtful and generous man I'd met. I now feel like I wasted 7 years. While the visa issues are certainly a problem, I did not date him with the intention of making him my safety net. I cannot believe that even after nearly a decade together, he doesn't know what kind of person I am. I feel like this relationship is possibly over, and it hurts. It hurts so much. Update. A few days back, I made a post about how my BF of 7 years didn't want to marry me because I was an immigrant on an H-1B, and he didn't want to be a visa mule. I got a lot of wonderful comments and DMs, a few trolls too, but that's expected from Reddit, haha. Because the thread got locked, and the post was subsequently removed because I have a low karma account, I was unable to respond to anyone. I'm posting this update to do that, plus add in some more things that have transpired since. Addressing some of the stuff in the comments, I've been on an H-1B visa for a bit more than 2 years now. I was on STEM OPT for about 3 years after grad school. I had terrible luck with the H-1B lottery, and I got one in the last round I was eligible to apply in. Getting PR in the US is not easy. I know people who've been here for 15 plus years who are still waiting for their PR. For those of you who DM'd me, calling me a gold digger, you guys made me LOL. I am aware of the legalities around sponsoring a spouse for a PR, including the financial aspect. It shouldn't have been a problem for the following reasons. 1, I'm a STEM major who recently shifted into management. I work for a large company and I do quite well for myself. My boyfriend is a teacher, and our incomes are not comparable. He earns around approximately $60,000. I earn close to approximately $300,000. 2, we've been living together for approximately 6 years. We have a shared account to pay for expenses like rent and utilities that we both deposit a percentage of our salary into. The rest of our money goes into our own private accounts, and we don't manage each other's money. 3, because I'm pretty frugal, I've saved up quite a bit of money in the form of savings plus investments. If my boyfriend was worried about the legality of sponsoring me financially for 10 plus years, I would have happily discussed moving the money around. I was even considering buying a house, so we could have made that a joint ownership thing. The point is, we could have figured it out. I haven't relied on him financially ever, and I didn't intend on doing that in the future. 4, I might not have considered everything, but you have to note that I thought about the marriage for visa thing very recently, only when the threat of possibly having to leave loomed over me. This isn't something I'd thought about in detail at all. Regarding my situation back home in Indonesia, I come from a very religious and conservative family and had a horrible childhood. My family doesn't support my career choices. I cut contact with my family when I moved to the US, so they are not in the picture at all. I was on great terms with BF's family. They loved me. Now, for the actual update, he is now my ex-boyfriend. I took a few days to collect myself and then reached out to him wanting to talk. He agreed. It turns out that he has been insecure about earning less than I did for a while. Apparently, his friends have been poking fun at our relationship, calling me the sugar mommy because I take care of most of the expenses. He never told me this until now. He apparently didn't feel like an equal because our pay differs so much, and started feeling that I was only with him as a quick way to get a PR here. I was speechless. I couldn't believe that his friends gaslighted him into doubting our relationship. I reminded him how he had supported me when I was in grad school, like getting me groceries when I had little money to spare, allowing me to stay with him rent-free in my last year of grad school to help me minimize expenses so I didn't have to take out a loan, letting me use his car when I was attending interviews. I told him that he did them because he loved me, and me taking on the majority of household expenses since I started working is my way of paying him back for all the things he did for me back then. He said that he gets what I'm saying, but also that he didn't expect me to start earning more than him straight off the bat. I asked if there was any chance he'd consider going to couples therapy, like some of you had suggested, and he declined because he didn't think he was being unreasonable. He said that he wanted to be the provider in a relationship and that he didn't feel like one in ours, so there's no going back from this unless I quit my job and found another that paid substantially less, which isn't going to happen. Well, long story short, we broke up. His family is in disbelief. They were hoping that he would propose soon. I've moved into an Airbnb for now. A little bit of good news to end this update with. My company offered me a similar role in a different department. However, this is based out of France, and there's a small decrease in pay. I've always dreamed about living in Europe, and I've accepted this offer. I've signed the relocation agreement, and I'll move there in the next 8 to 12 weeks.
My mom, F48, is trying to force me, M17, to fly to another state and take a pre-job drug test for my brother, 22. To be honest, I have done this in the past. I have taken pre-hire drug tests for him. I hated doing it, but I did it. We look enough alike on his DL that we pull it off, and people at those clinics are busier making sure you don't sneak something in your pants than with ID pick. My brother asked me first, because he knew he was going to apply a couple of months ago. I said no and told him to get clean and he got pissed at me. Then got my mom to take his side, and here we are. I hate doing this, because I hate that I'm doing something illegal, and I hate that my brother won't stop smoking weed long enough to get a good job. I have nothing against weed, I just don't smoke. I hate how lazy and irresponsible he is. I would have to fly out and miss some school. But my mom is threatening to revoke my work permit. I work at a burger place part-time. I love my job, but I can only keep it if my GPA stays high, and my mom and my guidance counselor sign a permission slip. Don't want to do anything illegal anymore. Don't want to keep bailing out my brother. I hate doing this, period. My mom also threatened to kick me out of the house, but I think that one is a bluff. I would have to fly out Sunday, and I have a big chemistry test on Monday. I feel like I have no way out. This suck. Let me know if any good ideas come to mind to help me do the best thing. Update November 22nd, 2015, 6 weeks later. It didn't go too well for me. My mom dropped me at the airport. I didn't get on the plane. I just sat there when they called for my plane to board. The airline lady asked me if I wanted to board because she saw I was the only one left in the waiting area. I felt scared, I'm not going to lie. That was the hardest moment of my life by far. The shit hit the fan when my brother found out I wasn't getting off the plane that night he went to pick me up at the airport. My mom called and called until finally she just texted me to not come home. I spent the night at the airport, and I took the bus to school on that Monday. I took my chemistry test and totally bombed it. I got a C and wish I go have a do-over on that because I know all that stuff. I don't know what happened there. I got fired from my job because my mom revoked my permission slip to work. I spoke to my boss, but there was nothing he could do to keep me working for him. He said he respects me and that he would hire me when I'm 18, but nothing he can do now. I don't live at home anymore. I got kicked out. That whole thing was bad. My self-esteem is in the dumps because I don't like staying at my friend's house where I stay now. Sometimes I think that all I had to do was take the stupid drug test and everything would be fine now. Thanksgiving is coming, and it's weird not having a place or a family to have that holiday with. I thought it would all blow over by now, but it hasn't. My mom is angrier about this than I thought. She moved and rented another house, so my old house is done. To me, it makes a difference. Honestly, I would love to say, hey, I did the right thing and it's all good, but it's not that easy. I'm lost for now, at least. I don't know how to move on without a home to go home to. I have to confess that I wish my mom would call me and tell me I was right. It's just not that easy to just leave your family behind. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. I have my clothes and my books and my school stuff. I'll finish off the year. I'm wishing time will fly by and I can start college and just try to move on. Sometimes I feel like I made a mountain out of a molehill. I F-ed everything up. But I can't wait to have kids so I can help them do the right things without punishing them. That's the one thing I can know I will for sure do when I have kids. For now, things suck and they're hard. Being kind of homeless sucks. Staying at somebody else's house is not the same as having your own bed.
Am I the a-hole for not rescheduling my wedding after my sister was widowed? I, 34 million, am supposed to get married next month. Now I'm not sure it's going to happen. My partner's sister, 35F, was widowed last month. I've gotten a front row seat of how it has rocked my soon-to-be in-laws. Everyone has really tried going above and beyond for his sister, making sure she's as comfortable as possible. And I truly can't imagine, you know? You'd probably have to institutionalize me if something happened to my boy. My partner's mom came to him a few days ago and asked if he would consider postponing the wedding. She said they would cover all the lost money, would help us replan, etc. Apparently his sister has said there's no way she can attend the wedding, and his mom knew how important it was to him to have her there, so she just wanted to offer an alternative plan. I'm not very sentimental, but my partner is. Our wedding was planned for the 10-year anniversary of when we met. That's something that meant a lot to him, which makes it mean a lot to me too. I'm trying to be sympathetic, but I'm just raging. I can't help it. My emotions aren't allowing me to be objective. I know his mom came to him in good faith, but it makes me so angry to think about this being put on his shoulders a month before our wedding. He was so excited, and now I'm worried that if we don't reschedule, He's just going to be in his head the whole time, feeling guilty and unable to fully enjoy himself. I know his sister is hurting. I'm trying my absolute hardest not to piss off the family that is soon to be mine, one that's already mine in a lot of ways. Still, I'm so mad. I'd appreciate some objective POVs. Edit. Getting lots of she's and hers in and comments. I'm a man. Doesn't having much weight in the story, just wanted to clear it up. Update. April 13th, 2025. 2.5 weeks later. I'm a married man. I let my husband take the lead on making the decisions here and let him know I would support whatever he chose. After some discussion, we decided to cancel the wedding and elope instead. My husband said he wouldn't feel right, gathering all his family and our friends without his sister present. But it was still very important to him that we got married on the date we first met. It was perfect. It was exactly the right choice. It was quiet and intimate, and us. There's nothing in the world I love more than seeing him smile, and he was stuck in perpetual D mode. I was so worried if we had the wedding I would look over and see him looking anything less than thrilled because it wasn't how he envisioned it without his sister there. I think the complete change in expectation made it easier for him to let go. Again, exactly the right choice. We're on cloud 9. In the lead-up, there was a lot of calling vendors, friends, and family to let them know we were canceling. It was very short notice and we weren't rescheduling anything, so we lost all of our deposits. Our loved ones were really understanding of our decision, at least over the phone. We had very few people flying in, only 3 friends, and his mom agreed to cover their flights as well. Finally, to address my anger. Most of it was directed towards the universe, but I'll admit that I was mad at my mother-in-law. Discussions about our wedding and his sister's grief were ones we were already having. Still, a third party coming to him and making this request felt cruel, in the moment. It felt like a guilt trip, like unnecessary pressure on my husband when he was already having to make these decisions anyway. We eventually made the choice we wanted to make, but he did tell me at one point he didn't want his mom to think he was heartless if we had the wedding without his sister. Emotions were running high for everyone. I don't think his mom would ever think he's heartless. I know no one was out to get us. His mom was doing her best to make the day comfortable for everyone, and navigating that is basically impossible. Still, I'm not sorry for my anger. And maybe that still makes me the asshole, but I'll be the asshole who loves his husband and puts him first in every situation. Update number 2, April 24th, 2025. I wanted to give one last update, just answering some final questions that people had. My mother-in-law did make good on her promise to cover costs. She reimbursed 3 friends of ours for their flights and us for all the money we lost in deposits. She is also now aware that we're married. My husband went over to help her with something and she noticed his ring. I wasn't there, so this is a second-hand account from him. She was apparently a little annoyed and talked about how much she wanted to be there, and that canceling didn't mean we had to still run out and get married, especially without telling her. My husband said he was firm in letting her know that we appreciated her reimbursing us, but that our wedding wasn't something she could just place continuous demands on. The only person he has trouble standing up to is his mom, and he said, "I was thinking the whole time about how you'd be proud of me, and I am so proud of him. It's probably best I wasn't there. He handled it and there was no risk of me running my mouth. Sister-in-law still doesn't know. She's, understandably, not doing great right now. Neither of us have seen her for a couple weeks now, but my husband tries to get her on the phone at least once every few days. Will we reschedule? I'm letting my husband have the final say with this. Recently, we've been leaning towards an extended honeymoon instead. And finally, am I a sociopath? This question wasn't posed directly to me, but was being discussed on a different subreddit, along with speculations about my family life and comments wondering why I didn't mention my husband's reaction to the death. I can put the sociopath rumors to rest. I have a lot of very intense feelings, which is pretty antithetical to the whole concept. It is true my home life wasn't safe or happy, though. I feel like I've made that pretty clear without diving into details. Being gay and being raised by small-minded people is rough. I was in therapy for years. So yeah, I'm not great at extended family dynamics. I try. My husband understands. That man has met me where I'm at so many times, and I'm so grateful. Oh, I love him. Being treated gently after never having experienced that before was, and still is, life-altering. I didn't come here to discuss anyone's grief in detail. I still won't be doing that. It's not necessary, and it's very personal. These posts were about rescheduling the wedding, and that question has been answered. Thank you for all the advice given and all the kind words. It really helped me figure out a solution and feel my emotions without burdening those close to me with them.
Am I the a-hole flipping out on my fiancé for canceling all the vegan food options from our wedding food menu behind my back? My fiancé, 31 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. There wasn't much that disagreed on during the wedding planning except for food. Me and my family are vegans, and there's so many reasons why we chose this lifestyle, and one of them being that we have a history of health issues. My fiancé and his family are the complete opposite. They're hardcore meat eaters, which is fine by me, obviously. However, when deciding on the wedding food menu, I wanted to add 4 to 5 vegan options. My fiancé and his mom objected, saying it was a waste of money over food that isn't real food. They also argued that this would be offensive for their guests and suggested my vegan options just be the good old salads and appetizers. His mom wanted cupcakes, lol. I said no because for one, it's me and my family who's paying. And 2, I want to make my guests feel welcome and not be treated as second-class citizens by being served salad. My fiancé made a face and said, "Isn't that what vegans eat?" I refused to argue about it and said it was final. The other day, I found out that he had cancelled all the vegan options and took them off the menu completely and behind my back. I was seething. I called him at work, but he kept hanging up on me. I went straight to his workplace and confronted him there and just flipped out on him. He was stunned to see me. He at first said it was his mom's idea, then told me to go home because I was making a scene at the office. The fight continued at home, and he defended himself by saying that I sort of made him resort to doing this after I kept brushing off his thoughts and input and refusing to accommodate his family. But there were plenty of meat options. Why can't I get 4 to 5 vegan options when I'm paying for it? He yelled that it was his wedding too, not my family's. My family said it was fine and they'll figure it out, and told me to let it go, but I refused. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down on this? Update. So his mom messaged me earlier to try to get me to listen to what she had to say after I kept ignoring her phone calls. She spent long walls of text just to address what I did at her son's workplace, calling it all kinds of stuff from immature to unhinged. She then went to explain how she's noticed that me and my family kept acting dismissive of her son's input and contributions to the wedding. She said that she noticed my behavior towards him and her entire family, and wanted to speak up earlier but didn't and tried to keep the peace. She then went on to address the food menu issue and denied her involvement in the cancellation of the vegan option, but that didn't mean she doesn't support her son's decision. Moreover, she thought it was so responsible of him to make that move because of my continual refusal to see how this stuff is waste of money. She also pointed out how I kept saying I paid for it, and said that technically this isn't just my money, it's mine and his because we're getting married. She suggested I wizen up and get rid of my money, I paid for it mentality. She finally mentioned how bad this whole situation is making me look, and said that she and her son had already offered a number of compromises that I chose to brush off and decided to make it my weird hill to die on. She said that not only her son is upset but she and the family are as well after hearing about it, and suggested I just argue on their compromise and be done with it. This pissed me off beyond belief. I responded by letting her know that I'm still standing my ground on this, even if I'll have to call the whole wedding off because of it, because honestly, this is just ridiculous. It is. My mom and dad, they don't even know what to say anymore. Apparently, my fiancé saw my response to her, his with her, and is now trying to call me, but right now I'm waiting on him to get home and see if he's still insisting on the stance he took. I'll update if there's anything worth adding after we talk. Update. So, the talk didn't go well. I waited for him to come home so we could have a final conversation about it, but he still insisted on his stance. For more details, his family are a bit on the heavy side. Nothing wrong with that. They are perfectly within their right to decide how to live, but they get easily offended at the mention of the words weight and food. I tried so hard to focus on the issue at hand, but I noticed there was a pattern of this behavior. He said it wasn't true, and that this was just an attempt for me to throw past conflicts at him in order to win the current one. He claimed he tried to reason with me about why and how his guests might see those vegan options as offensive, also said that his family love food and consider it a big deal, and how he didn't want his family to feel like there's certain options that they couldn't touch, and feel that there's difference in how I treat them vs how I treat my family. He then went on to explain how it's just an event and how my family should just accept what's on the menu, and if they felt inconvenienced, so what? It's just a one-time thing. They're not gonna die if they had salad and appetizers. What he said wasn't good enough reason for me, cause his folks are gonna think and say what they want, but at the end of the day it's my wedding. And to be honest, realizing that my partner himself thinks it's okay to steamroll my opinions and decisions simply because he's prioritizing others and their opinions over me was really upsetting and not something that could be looked past. Normally, I'm a person of rational discussions and compromises. I'm all about compromises. I'd compromise on much bigger matters than just food, but like people said, it's not about the food anymore, if it ever was. Like, he'd literally lose nothing if he let me have what I wanted, but apparently, he was willing to lose it all over this, which is fine by me. I gave him back the ring and called everything off. I just couldn't envision myself living like this any longer, having to walk on eggshells for his family and letting him basically override my opinions and have the final say no matter what. Marriage is about compromise, and hey, he has nothing to lose yet chose to do this to me and my family. Mind you, this is my first serious relationship and I didn't know what to expect, but it's safe to say that he and his mom and family did make it feel like I was taking crazy pills on many occasions, so that's that. Last thing he said was that I chose my family over him and ended everything between for the sake of keeping him happy. Decision's been made and it's done. Just wanted to give an update to those who wanted it. Thank you so much for your endless stream of advice and support. Grandmother gave my brother and me an equal share portfolio each when we were kids. Brother sold his when they were worth a car. I left mine in and now they are a substantial amount. Brother and his girlfriend want my half now. When my brother was 16 and I was 4, my grandmother set aside a share portfolio for us. As soon as we were old enough, it was transferred into our own accounts, and it was only 4 years later that my brother dipped heavily into his and bought a new Honda. I knew about mine for much longer than he did before it became mine, and watched it grow since I understood what it was. By the time I was given full control, it was already worth a ridiculous amount because a big portion of it was invested in Apple, and I'm torn on using the funds locked up as they are, because Dad drilled it into me to leave it to grow until I'm 40-something. I don't talk much with my brother. He's done some stupid things to the family over the years and I didn't really grow up with him, so all I usually hear about his life comes through Dad. His new girlfriend works in law though, and I've received a formal letter from them both that the investments my grandmother made were designed to be for both of us to use, not just for me alone, and his was only around $15,000. The number is right, but mine was only worth that at the time he spent it too. They want half of the value of mine now, and his girlfriend has informed me if I don't give them access then the legal fees and fines would eat up my half and I'd be left with nothing. The dividends alone support a huge part of my life and they've saved me a few times. If half of that dissipated, it'd set me back years. I know it sounds selfish, but I'm really used to having the extra income back me up when I've wanted to move. I've lived in 4 states by my own choice and I want to move and take in more before I settle down, if I ever do. How likely is it they'll win and leave me with nothing? As far as I know, there was no paperwork or just my grandmother's word. She set up my brother's accounts when he turned 19, but she gave them to Dad at the same time as my brother got his, and Dad transferred the whole lot to me 6 years ago. For my share, I have all the logins. The trading accounts and bank accounts are in my name, and the shares are all solely in my name too. Should I find my own lawyer, and if I need one, what kind do I need? I have an accountant I've used for years, but this doesn't seem like an accounts problem but a law one. Update. Mostly good news. I worked with my dad and got my own lawyer. I got the timeline of my shares wrong, but it comes out the same. What my brother and I inherited from my grandmother was originally part of my grandfather's portfolio. He was the money-savvy one. My grandmother looked after those after he died, and she personally set up my brother's accounts and gave him control of his part. She didn't do the same with mine before she died. I thought she had already set the accounts up for me and given control to Dad before passing. Instead, the shares were in her will, and she left everything she owned to my dad with instruction that what was $15,000 worth when my brother got his equivalent part would go to me when I was old enough to know how to take care of them. There was no trust. She just trusted my dad. My dad did the right thing and set up accounts for me and gave me control 6 years ago. My dad put some of his own shares in too as an extra leg up. Dad admitted to me he'd chewed out my brother last year when he came to him asking for money, and Dad had supported him several times over the years and got to the point he'd had enough. My brother found out I still had my investments because Dad had used me as an example of how brothers should have been using money. That's how my brother found out I still had shares and they'd grown. According to all that info, my lawyer tells me I'm in the clear, but it's not going to get to the point of finding that out in court as my brother's GF was only a legal secretary. I say was because the firm she worked for apologized and informed my lawyer she was terminated immediately. The letter I received from them had been edited to put her name in a position higher up than it should have been, and some of the contact information had been changed. A week after she was fired, my brother visited me begging for money. His girlfriend is in serious debt, and she took a chance on scamming cash from me and lost. I felt awful rejecting my own brother over and over, and if he hadn't involved his girlfriend needing an amount well into 5 figures, I might have given him some. The next morning I found all my tires had been slashed. Screw him, I don't feel bad anymore. The rest of the comments in the previous thread made me realize I don't know nearly enough about what I'm doing with the shares and dividends and money in general. A lot of the decisions I've made have been with Dad's help, and his advice has paid off well so far, but not because I knew it would, but because I had no idea what I was doing and left it up to him. I've booked into Wyke with a financial advisor to make the most of what I have. Thanks for all your comments. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I'm used to it after my parents ruined the surprise of my engagement and the wedding dress? I, 27F, am getting married in September 2025. I'm in a long-distance relationship. My partner lives in England and I'm in the US. We're lucky enough that I work remote and visit about 3 times a year for 6 weeks at a time, and he visits me in the US about 4 times a year for once a week. When he was planning to propose, he had asked my parents' blessing in March 2024. My parents had assumed that I would know when he was proposing, and my dad had told me in a conversation that following week he was proposing in December 2024. As you could imagine, I was upset. My mother invalidated my feelings and said I was making it a big deal and being stupid for not assuming it was going to be during Christmas because that's when both of our families were together. My argument is that while I could have had a hunch, I didn't want to be told when it was, and basically could have gone practically a whole year wondering excitedly when it would be. For all I know, he could have proposed before that, and Christmas we would have had an engagement party. Anyway, basically my dad apologized, but my mom has stood firm on saying I'm dramatic for being upset. Since then, more things have gone wrong, and has started to leave me just so sad about wedding planning. None of this has been a good experience, and I've started to feel like it's a chore. Flash forward to today, my partner is visiting, just for 1 week, and we're all sitting on the couch in the living room. My mom randomly turns to me and goes, "Have you picked up your veil from the bridal store yet?" Right in front of him. And then my partner smiles and goes, "Oh, you're wearing a veil?" And I just got super frustrated. There are only 2 surprises in a wedding, the engagement and the dress. And both of them have been handled so carelessly. So I turned to my mom and said, "Can you please not mention anything about the dress? Not the shoes. Nothing. I don't want him knowing anything." She rolls her eyes, walks around, and about 10 minutes later gives a half-hearted apology just saying, "Sorry, OP." And I replied, "It's fine. I'm used to it at this point." And now she's gone back and locked herself in the room. So I guess, am I the a-hole for being upset? Edit. I know a lot of people are asking if this is like her. It isn't. She has already had one of her 4 daughters get married. I'm the second. She never ruined the engagement or the dress. And she seemed to care a whole lot more about her than she has me during this time. Second edit. Nowadays a lot of brides opt to wear veils, tiaras, sometimes hats, or embellishments, or nothing at all. I forgot to mention that my fiancé had told me he didn't want to know if I was wearing a veil or anything and wanted it all to be a surprise. Since he's very mild-tempered and sweet, he was surprised but was trying to be nice in his reaction because he knew I'd be upset. Update. April 27th, 2025, next day. So for context, a lot of things have gone wrong since we have been in talks of getting engaged. Obviously my dad had told me about the engagement, but then other things went wrong, like my partner's sister causing drama the day before our engagement, The day of our engagement going horribly wrong to the point my partner told me he'd propose again, finding out last month that my partner's dad got remarried a year ago in secret. We didn't even know he was dating anyone, and him asking for a +1 for the wife no one had even heard of, while also telling my partner his ridiculous fall. Being upset because it isn't a big deal, and my best friend bailing on my bachelorette for someone else's. So it's safe to say that since December, it's been stressful. And those are only the bigger issues I mentioned. I know everyone was saying my mom should be on an info diet. She already was by her own choice. She hasn't asked or been part of anything by her own design, and it's felt like she couldn't care less about the wedding. The only time she cared was when she found out we were only inviting 40 people, and people she wanted they weren't invited, like her friends, who I barely see or know, and her brother and cousin, who I both haven't seen since I was 11. That's when she insisted on paying for them so they could come. And that's the only time she's asked about anything having to do with the wedding, or to be honest, anything involving me. She hasn't checked in to see if me and my partner are okay, given all of the other stuff that has happened, either. So I ended up speaking with my mom a little while after what happened, and I told her that while I know I shouldn't have said I'm used to it, that ultimately I'm upset because it seems nothing has gone right. She seemed apologetic at first and said she didn't know why she said that and knew that she shouldn't have. I nodded and said just please don't say anything else regarding what you know about the dress. She was there when I got the dress and veil with my sisters. I then told her that I'm just tired of things going wrong and that my partner and I have felt super unsupported and alone. She responded back starting her sentence with, "OP, only a handful of things have happened. I feel like you're looking for things to be upset about at this point." And to be honest, when she said that, I kind of lost it. I basically said that I didn't go looking for any of this, and all of these things that have happened to my fiancé and I were out of our control. Like, you're the one who brought up the veil, not me. I didn't go looking for any of these issues. I definitely didn't go looking for my partner's dad, who has been single for 15 years, to not only lie about dating but secretly go get married and not tell his son for a year. I told her that if there was one problem, then fine, I'd have handled it and moved on, but that the repeated offenses have hurt me and I've been trying to get over what's occurred, but something else happens to make the wedding planning even harder. I told her that I felt super alone during a time that's supposed to be joyful, and that her carelessness and thoughtlessness has been super hurtful, especially when she's continually invalidated my feelings. She shrugged and said that she's done nothing and she's not going to talk to me or ask about me about the other problems going on because I've been upset and she doesn't want to deal with it. LOL. After a lot of your comments, I realized that I definitely was attempting to include someone who has shown not only should they not be, but they don't want to be. My partner leaves back to the UK today, but at this point I'm considering eloping with him, if I can, when I'm visiting him in England in May. We've already paid half of what we owe to our venue and photographer, so cancelling isn't really an option, but maybe we'll have just the reception instead of the ceremony. Thank you to the commenters who pointed out that if we ever have children, to keep the important moments to ourselves of gender or birth date or names. I think you're right, and my mom has pretty much ensured she will be on a permanent info diet for as long as she's in my life, because if not, she'll more than likely spoil it and then invalidate my feelings. I think ultimately it wasn't about the veil for me. I know my partner will still be surprised. I'm just sad because he told me he didn't want an idea of anything and wanted to be completely clueless about what I would be wearing. But ultimately, this was about the continued thoughtlessness and invalidation that's pretty much been the theme for the last 4 months. If my mom had said she was sorry and left it, it would have been fine. But acting like I went looking to be upset when she randomly ruins yet another detail is just wild to me. Edit. I also forgot to say, yes, I am moving to England. We are hoping to make that jump at the beginning of 2026. Second edit. I know a lot of people are saying completely cancel the venue, but we already have friends and family from my fiancé's side who have bought their flight tickets to come. At least 10 have already confirmed. I don't think I have the heart in me to cost people that kind of money when they've already invested into this. Third edit LOL. I'm not sure if my mom cares that I'm moving. I am in England for 6 to 8 weeks at a time every few months, so she's already used to me leaving for a significant amount of time. She doesn't seem sad I'm leaving, and if anything has said she understands why I'm moving. If she is sad, or that's the real reason behind all of this, I'd actually be super surprised. I won't rule it out, but my mom isn't the type to care about that sort of thing. Commenter 1. Have you looked into the visas? I moved to the UK 18 years ago. It can be stressful dealing with immigration and expensive. OOP. Yes. I'm a little worried, but I think we'll be fine. Original plan was to get married, do long distance a little more, and then for me to apply for residency and move over there. Thankfully, he is over the financial threshold for me to move. Commenter 2. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out what the big deal is that your fiancé's father got married. How does that affect you? It doesn't. What's the big deal about knowing that you'll be wearing a veil? It's just a piece of fabric, and odds are most women wear veils. Sorry, but IMO, it does seem like you're making a big deal out of stuff you have no control over. You need to just ignore the stuff around you and enjoy your wedding. Although I will say your BF. She's an AH. How could she do that? I hope you uninvited her from the wedding. OOP. His dad didn't tell anyone he was married. He randomly told my fiancé last month because he wanted to ask for a +1, and when my fiancé asked why he needed a +1, he finally had to fess up he'd married someone and didn't tell anyone. My fiancé was rightfully hurt by that. He didn't even know his dad was dating anyone. If your dad, who you were close with, didn't even mention he remarried someone a year ago, I think you'd be shocked too. It also created tension because my fiancé's parents don't speak already, and they are both unpredictable people. His dad also said he would more than likely leave the wedding early, and that he refused to meet with the mom beforehand to prevent any issues on the wedding day. Caused a lot of drama, and he uninvited his dad from the wedding because of it. The veil was frustrating because it was obviously another thing my parents revealed. My fiancé didn't want to know a single thing or hint over what I was wearing. And yes, LOL. Best friend has been uninvited. OOP on her fiancé helping with the wedding planning and how the stress has been affecting him with his own family issues. OOP. My fiancé does what he can to help with wedding planning all the way from England. He's definitely involved in this, and every time he visits we have ironed out as many details as we can. To clarify, I am not directly involved with his dad, but obviously I love my partner and support him, and it has been a source of stress. You may have missed my other comments, but the problem is my fiancé's family has a lot of tension. His mom and sister don't speak to his dad, and haven't for over 10 years. Already there were concerns about what their behavior would be like at the wedding because the three of them are all very unpredictable people. His sister had caused a bunch of drama the day before our engagement, for instance, and it's totally feasible that they would have drama on our wedding day. My fiancé didn't even know his dad had been dating anyone. When my fiancé went to go meet him for a coffee catch-up, his dad asked for a +1. My fiancé was confused because our wedding is small and we hadn't accounted for him wanting one. When he asked his dad why, his dad beat around the bush until finally admitting he'd married someone in secret a year ago, and literally no one knew. Not only that, but his dad in the same breath essentially said that he wasn't going to meet up with the mom and sister prior to the wedding, which my fiancé requested so the wedding wouldn't be the initial shock of seeing each other and could avoid problems, and that he'd also probably leave our wedding early. My fiancé was, understandably, shocked. His dad basically said my fiancé was ridiculous for being confused and upset and he should get over it. While it isn't my dad, my fiancé and I are each other's support systems, and it's been distressing information for him to find out. How would you feel if your dad had been married for a year and you didn't even know he was seeing anyone? Regardless, it does affect me, since it's our wedding. It's another person who has brought a stressful element into planning, and my fiancé had to make the difficult decision to disinvite him from the wedding to keep peace, since his dad and mom are unpredictable and his dad has already provided a hint and a half he will be difficult and only cares about his own interests. OOP responds to a longer comment regarding her parents spoiling the surprises and the moods for the engagement and wedding planning. OOP. My parents are not that old, they are both in their mid-50s, and both are mentally fine and healthy. They also have had another daughter get married previously to me, so this isn't their first rodeo. I didn't go looking to blame my mom for what my dad did. But my mom did make him think that I knew when the proposal was. When my fiancé asked for their blessing, that night they had been discussing. My dad made a comment that he thought I didn't know, and my mom said that of course I knew. So my dad thought it was fine to say to me. Not only that, she brought it upon herself from the get-go to say that I was ridiculous for being upset and it's not a big deal. I never blamed her for what happened, But I do think it's shitty to take it upon yourself to seek me out to tell me I'm ridiculous for privately being sad. So not only did she not apologize for her assumptions, but went out of her way to tell me I'm ridiculous. I think there's a lot of assumptions here in your reply. I think my dad was good-natured and really felt awful. My mom was indignant that my feelings had no place. I think, when you're the one who causes the confusion, and you go out of your way to invalidate someone's feelings, you become part of the problem. Ultimately, I'd be happier having a parent who made me feel valued and loved and like my feelings had a place, and get to experience a lovely relationship like the one you're describing, than my parent who makes me feel ignored, unheard, and ultimately just all around invisible. Just because someone is alive doesn't mean they are instantly better. I'm sorry and my condolences about your dad. Am I the a-hole for insisting my mom choose a side between me and my brother? This happened a few years ago but is still a major issue in my family. I, 25F, am the youngest and only girl of my siblings. Me and my mom, 50F, live in a different state and decided to visit home, and my oldest brother, 31M, offered to house us with his family. The first night there, my mom went out with some old friends and my brother and his girlfriend, 32F, asked to hang out with me in their home for the night. After their kids, 4 kids between the ages of 9 months and 12, went to bed, we started drinking and talking about random things since this was the first time I had actually met this girlfriend and spent time with her. While talking, his girlfriend asked about our childhood and what he was like as a kid, and I answered honestly, he was a bad kid. He ran away, he spiked our mom's boyfriend's drinks with bleach, he fought at school almost daily and was suspended constantly until he dropped out. Something I thought was funny to joke about was not funny to him, and he got angry. Me and his girlfriend laughed it off. We're all very drunk at this point, but I could tell he was getting angrier and angrier. Then he asked me if I just punched you right now it wouldn't be funny, would it? Again, drunk me laughed it off thinking we were just talking about our lives and childhoods. We were not abused or neglected as children, so I truly didn't see this as me laughing at traumatic events or making fun of him. And then in a split second he punched me. Over and over. I remember protecting myself as I fell and getting back up and throwing anything in front of me as I tried to move out of the way. And then I was back on the floor, mouth bleeding, disoriented and crawling to the couch for help. The kids ran into the room scared and crying, and his 9-month-old was crying hysterically. He was screaming and yelling at his girlfriend, "It's not funny. It's not funny," as she tried to calm him down. He even saw me on the couch crying and bleeding and threw a cup of alcohol in my face and called me a bitch. And then he said, "I hope you know you're gonna fucking die tonight." I remember running into the bathroom and locking the door, and I heard him searching desperately for a knife in the kitchen drawer. I called my mom as I hysterically cried and told her he was gonna kill me, and she begged me to open a window and run. He began banging on the door, describing how he was going to stab me, gut me, as I tried to open the window. I think I even accepted at this point I was dead and just pondering how it would feel. And then he stopped. I waited and realized my mom had begun breaking down the door to get to me because he was looking for a new knife to kill me with. After this, I went to the hospital, and although I had no broken bones, I was bleeding and my entire face was bruised and cut. I pressed charges against him, and after almost 3 years, he was caught on a separate charge, and now the case is moving forward this month. My mom, in her opinion, has tried to stay neutral, but I think in her way of staying neutral she has taken his side. She has told me that being beat was a consequence of saying rude things to him, and that I've already won because he's been in jail for months and should drop these charges since he's facing other criminal charges. Yesterday, I blew up and cried and told her she was stupid and dumb for ever suggesting that I get over this, and I can't believe she would want to be neutral and not take my side. She hung up the phone and we have not talked since. I feel like I might be TA because I don't have kids and I don't understand what she might be going through having to choose between us. It's also important to mention my brother has previously been diagnosed with a mental illness and has done violent behavior like breaking windows, stealing, going on car chases from police, and fighting before, so I feel like our family has become so immune to his behavior that me pressing the issue and demanding accountability is making everyone uncomfortable. But I also feel like her seeing what I looked like after he beat me, hearing me describe what it felt like and how it has damaged me, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, should automatically make her take my side and support my decision to take this to court. Am I the a-hole? Commenter 1. This can't be real. If the cops were called, they would recommend the DA press charges themselves and the kids would be removed from the home since he's a psychopath. OOP. In my moment of panic, I didn't call the police, I just called my mom for help and she took me to the hospital. I went to the police the next day and they basically did nothing until I got a phone call a few months ago that he was arrested for something else. The DA did apologize and said he had no idea how this case slipped between the cracks and why it took so long for him to be arrested. The kids are still in the home and he is still with GF. Comment to 2. I stopped reading after the very first sentence. NTA. If one child is a sociopath who tries to stab people, clearly she should be on the other kid's side. OOP. Thank you for responding and for your honesty. Part of why I made the post is because for the last couple years, multiple family members have told me that expecting my mom to choose a side is irrational and that I should stop pushing this, drop the charges, and handle this as a family. After the argument with my mom, it really started making me question whether I am being irrationally biased and TA for bringing the situation up for so long and making her choose between us. I really thought people here were going to tell me I was letting my emotions blindside me and I'm TA for yelling at my mom and pushing for her to make a clear stand because I've been hearing it for years now. But hearing the opposite from so many people is actually mind-boggling and I needed it. Comment to 3. Your mother has picked a side and she is wrong. Please proceed with the charges. Those poor kids. That man should never be around children. NTA. Comment to 4. Wow, unbelievable how your mother is reacting. Maybe for your own mental health, you should cut off all contact with your mom too. Your brother literally tried to kill you and in no world is that okay or forgivable. Continue with the charges because he needs consequences and he needs help. You need to protect yourself and not have contact with your mom. You should never doubt you are doing the right thing. Update. April 25th, 2025, 3 weeks later. Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update since a lot has happened since my original post, and I felt so conflicted and alone in it all. For context, a few years ago, my older brother beat me violently during a drunken conversation, to the point that I thought I was going to die. My mother has stated that I shouldn't testify against him and that I'm TA for making her pick between us when she's supposed to be neutral. As the trial started approaching, my family started pressuring me heavily to back out. My mom told me that I should let this go because my brother has suffered enough by losing his girlfriend, his kids, and facing time in jail for other charges. She says I'm pushing too hard and that my testimony will send him to prison rather than letting him finish his time in jail even though I didn't ask for jail time. I requested a plea deal that focused on probation, a mental health evaluation, and mandatory medication adherence. I just wanted him to get help and even that was too much. She also told me I'm contributing to what black men go through, which feels incredibly manipulative, considering she has never once asked me what I need to heal or how this has affected me. Everything is about my brother, his image, and how to keep him out of prison, not about what I experienced or what helps me feel safe. My brother had someone post on social media about him getting released soon, not happening, and my mother commented and said, "Can't wait for you to be home soon." So a side was clearly chosen here and it's not mine. And then it got worse. My mom, father, and grandmother have all reached out trying to get me to drop the case. My father, mind you, this is my father, not my brother since we're half-siblings, told me it's not like your brother molested your kids or killed your husband, as if those are the only two scenarios that justify testifying. He said I'm ruining the family and making myself look bad by going forward. Then I found out my mom gave my father the name of my prosecutor without telling me, and they emailed the prosecutor pretending I had changed my mind about testifying because it wasn't really a big deal. Thankfully, the prosecutor reached out to confirm, and I told him it wasn't true. Trial was this morning and my brother decided to plead guilty and ask for time served and I was not allowed to testify. I felt like it was another thing he stole from me. My mental health, my feelings of safety, the love from my family, and now he took my moment of confrontation. However, he's back in jail because he is still awaiting sentencing for 11 other charges and facing decades in prison. I called my mother afterwards and told her I didn't testify and that I knew she emailed the prosecutor. She denied and said she had nothing to do with it but was happy my father did it nonetheless. She said I sided with the system and contributed to another black man in jail and should be ashamed of myself and then hung up. I texted her and said I still loved her and I wish that one day we can go back to being best friends again because I miss her. She hasn't responded. So much for neutral, right? Thank you for all the kind words and everyone who told me they had been through something similar. My brother has taken so much from me and I feel alone, defeated, and empty. Part of me is happy this is over, but the cost of my family is something I never even considered when he attacked me 3 years ago. I don't know how I will pick up the pieces or get through this immense sadness, but I will try. Relevant comments. Does OOP's brother have any other charges against him that are unrelated to OOP's situation, and if her testimony wouldn't have any impact on other charges? OOP. Yes, he has about 11 other charges unrelated to me, including having a weapon as a felon. Actually, he never even went to jail for my charges until this year when he was caught on the other charges and they realized he had a warrant for his arrest for almost 3 years that they did nothing about. I confirmed before court that my testimony wouldn't have any impact on the other charges, and I was told that the other charges were so severe that it was unlikely a judge would even care about what happened today. And even then, that wasn't enough reassurance for my mother. She said it didn't matter that I didn't actually testify, but wanting TO is the same as actually doing it. Why aren't OOP's parents being held accountable for lying to the prosecutor about the ongoing criminal trial? OOP, the prosecutor told me he didn't report my parents specifically for the fact he felt bad for me that I was being harassed by so much family and he didn't want to make it worse by reporting them and giving them another reason to harass me. I'm so thankful he did it because I can barely handle the ostracism as is. I get that people post fake stuff up here, trust me, but this is unfortunately very real and I would post the photos of my beat-up face if I didn't want to remain anonymous. Commenter 1. While you didn't get to testify during his guilty plea, is there any way that you can prepare a victim's impact statement to be read at his sentencing hearing? Even though it's not trial testimony, if allowed, you would be able to express to the court how his actions have affected your life or health. OOP. They sentenced him at the same time as the plea hearing to time served and allowed me to make a statement then. I was honestly just so shocked and disappointed and trying not to cry that all I could say was, I hope he gets help and I'm sad that our relationship has been reduced to this. He refused to say anything. I just hate that I wasn't prepared to make a statement because I had spent so much time prepping myself to testify. It's part of why I'm having the feelings I'm having, like I didn't get to actually get any of those feelings off myself. They're still here. He just keeps taking things from me and that was one of them. Commenter 2. Can I ask what makes you keep going back to people so obviously don't care about you? I don't have parents, so I don't understand it. What is it that they bring to you that you keep going back for? OOP. Hi, me and my mom were extremely close before this. As in I've had people say to us, I thought me and my mom are close but you guys are close. We see each other every weekend. We talk 3 times a day at minimum. We were so close. She actually was the one who told me to pursue charges 3 years ago. I think the switch-up happened when she realized he was going to jail for a long time and needed a scapegoat for her feelings, and it was me. Even through all of this, she's called me and came by to apologize and tell me she could never choose anyone over me because she couldn't imagine life without me. So it's hard when she tells me how much she needs me and then switches to hating me so quickly. OOP ongoing no contact with her family after what has taken place. OOP, I do think I have to go LCINC with everyone because I'm realizing how toxic it is that I have to defend my feelings to my parents almost every time we talk. I'll have a few months off work soon and I'm going to try to use that to rebuild my life back with just myself and good therapy. I hope to look into some domestic violence shelters soon to find a community of women who understand what I'm going through.
I, 22M, I'm in medical school, and my fiancé, 22F, freaked out after seeing a diagram of a vagina in my anatomy textbook. Together for 6 years. I don't know what to do. Some backstory. My fiancé Annie and I have known each since we were children and began dating junior year high school. After high school, we both went to our state school, and I asked her to marry me junior year of undergrad. I have always dreamt of being a doctor, as has she. When the application process began, I applied to a good mix of MD and DO schools of varying degrees of selectivity, though all med schools are insanely selective. I had initially planned on continuing my education in my state institution because I did not want to take on too much debt. I did end up getting into my state school's med school, but I was also unexpectedly offered a spot at one of the best med schools in the country, AITA Top 3, in New England. We are from the West Coast. I would have been inclined to reject the offer had I not also qualified for a partial, but still significant scholarship. It would still cost me more out of pocket than my state school would, but not significantly so, maybe a couple $1,000s more. Annie, despite pleas from myself, our parents, professors, advisors, etc. applied to only our state school and to some insanely selective top 10 MD schools that she, to be blunt, had no chance of getting into given her admittedly mediocre grades and research experience. She was rejected from all the schools she applied to, including our state institution. Obviously, this crushed her, and I have tried my best to support her during a difficult time and to help her remain optimistic. Our situation now is this. I am currently enrolled at the aforementioned New England Medical School, while Annie has decided to take a year off to strengthen her profile with research experience, physician shadowing, etc., and is currently living with me. There were no jobs open related to her undergrad major, political science, here or in our home state, that would be able to give her sufficient time off for research, so she is currently working part-time in the retail industry. I have tried my best to be completely supportive of her, as I know that this is a difficult time for her, and I have never ever said, "I told you so," or anything along those lines. This is what ended up happening on Friday night. I was home, studying for a test on Monday when Annie came home from work. She came over to my desk and kissed me. I asked her how her day went, and she didn't respond, and suddenly looked very pissed off. After a few moments, she said, "What the fuck is wrong with you, textbook throwaway," while pointing at an anatomical diagram of a vagina in my textbook. I was speechless. After regaining my composure, I managed to let out a surprised, "What do you mean?" "I'm studying." To which she said something along the lines of, "You know what the fuck I mean. Why the fuck are you looking at pictures of women's vaginas?" This was very strange, because she knows I occasionally watch porn and has no problem with it. In fact, I know that she enjoys porn from time to time as well. I explained to her that I have to take anatomy in medical school, but she wasn't having it. She took my textbook and stormed off to our bedroom and locked the door. I could hear her crying, and I kept apologizing. After a few minutes, she opened the door and threw her engagement ring at me before slamming it shut again to continue crying. I continued apologizing, but she did not respond at all. I spent the rest of the night on the couch. Saturday morning, she wasn't home. I checked my phone, and there was a text from her saying that she was staying with a friend and that she was done with us unless I dropped out of medical school and found another job because, and this is an honest-to-God text from her, she doesn't want me ogling at vaginas like a fucking pervert. This is completely out of character for her. She has always been level-headed and reasonable, and has no history of mental illness or anything like that. I am not a stupid person, and I know that this is way more to do than a picture of a fucking vagina in an anatomy textbook, but I have no idea what to do right now. She has stopped responding to texts and won't pick up a phone. I spoke to the friend she's staying with, who basically called me a fucking asshole and said that Annie is crying and getting drunk, and that neither of them want me coming over to speak with her. Her parents passed when we were young children, and she doesn't have any siblings or much other family. I have no idea what to do anymore. I love her more than anything, but there's absolutely no way I am dropping out of medical school for her, and I would rather we break up than I bend to her completely unreasonable demands. But I am very concerned for her mental health right now, and need any advice I can get. Update. I'll save you the trouble. She wasn't cheating, nor was she pregnant. Yesterday I decided that enough was enough, and I headed over to where she was staying, intent on ending the relationship. When I got there, she was half drunk. What followed was a lot of screaming and cussing directed at me. I learned why she wanted me to drop out. It had nothing to do with textbook vaginas. When I was a sophomore, two of my friends dropped out of college to work on their tech startup full-time and invited me to come work with them. My undergrad degree was in Comp SCI. I rejected the offer because I wanted to concentrate on my dream, becoming a doctor. Fortunately, their startup did very well, and last year they sold it to a large tech company for a very large sum of money, in the low 8 figures. I was thrilled for them. After they sold the company, both of them obviously had large lifestyle changes. One of them proposed to his girlfriend with a ridiculously fucking big diamond, and they are frequently vacationing in exotic locations with family and SOS. Apparently, their success and lifestyles made my girlfriend extremely jealous, and she came up with the vagina thing as a way for me to drop out of med school, because she thinks I can easily get a job making $150K a year to bank, so we wouldn't have to live like fucking refugees, and that I'm a fucking idiot for not doing so. Still, I was confused. I asked her about our dreams of being doctors. Turns out she never really wanted to go into medicine, but only claimed to because it was all I ever talked about. I guess that explains her application strategy. I was done. I broke up with her on the spot and told her not to contact me again. She is going to continue staying with a friend while we figure out a living arrangement. My 28M GF 31F of 3 years confessed to me that she only started dating me because she knew I had a massive crush on her for a very long time, and her roommate convinced her to go on a single pity date with me. So I have had a mega crush on my GF ever since school days. We were in the same school, although she was one class ahead on me. Now my crush was such that everyone in my school knew. Like if I was anywhere near, people would just give a mischievous smile to the both of us. If we were sitting near each other, then my friends would tease me mercilessly. LOL. In short, it was impossible for her to not know about it. But I never had the courage to ask her out. After school, we moved to a different part of the world for our education, and we were not even Facebook friends. Anyways, around 3.5 years ago, I was attending the birthday celebrations of a friend when I saw her again. It was her all right, only she had become even more gorgeous and badass. The friend whose birthday I was attending was a mutual friend from our school, and he of course knew about my crush. There were 2 or 3 more mutual friends there who also knew, and they kept encouraging me to go and talk to her. So I finally went up to her with my heart in mouth, and had a small talk with her. She of course recognized me from school, and we had a nice talk, and then we exchanged numbers and socials. So, with great trepidation, I did some light detective work to find out if she is single or not. To my great relief, I didn't find the presence of any guys in her feed, so my hopes went up a little. I reached out to her to hang out, fully expecting her to turn me down, but she accepted, to my GR8 surprise. So we hung out, and I found out that we have a lot in common, and then we decided for a next meetup. Things picked up from there, and eventually we became boyfriend and girlfriend. She is everything I expected, and more, plus she is also extremely happy with our relationship. We have been discussing marriage too. Anyways, last weekend we hosted her BFF and husband for dinner at our house. The BFF is someone whom I had known during our school days, and she is a good friend too. After dinner we were shooting the breeze, and except me everyone was pretty drunk, as they were staying the night at our place. So we were talking when her drunk BFF suddenly turned to my GF and said, "Look how happy you are today, and I feel some sense of pride after looking at you too." I smiled and said, "Well, thank you." Then she continued talking to my GF and said, "You didn't even want to give this guy a chance and only agreed when I pestered you to go on a pity date with him. And your plan was to let him down easy after the said date. But instead you guys are sitting here talking about your future together, and it makes me so happy that I convinced you to take a chance with him. Can you imagine if you had stuck to your original plan?" Her husband by now realized the awkwardness and led her way to sleep. I could see in my GF's face that she was visibly stressed. So we went to bed too, and when she came to bed after changing clothes, she was already in tears. She took my hand in hers and said, "Please don't mind her words." I asked her, "Is it true?" and she admitted yes, it was. She knew I always had a massive crush on her, so when I asked her out, she didn't want to be mean by turning me down harshly. So she discussed it with her BFF, who was also her roommate at the time, about the situation. The BFF knew me, so she tried to convince her to give me a chance, but the GF was not convinced. Finally, the BFF asked her to go on the 2nd of March dates with me, and then let me down easy, and GF agreed. But then she found out we really clicked together and wanted to continue dating, and well, here we are 3 years later. I hugged her and said it's okay. Don't worry about it too much as it's water under bridge. But as you guys can tell, it's obviously bothering me. And I think she has started to catch on too, as she has been extra attentive and loving to me since the incident. So Reddit. On the one hand, I'm the guy who is literally going to be engaged and eventually married to my crush. And it's even better because our relationship just how I imagined to be, only 10 times better. On the other hand, it does sting a little to know that she only agreed to go out with me because she pitied me. NGL. Please knock some sense into me before I self-sabotage this wonderful relationship. Thank you. Update. The 21st of November, 2021. So I guess I should tell what happened after I made the post. In the morning, the BFF apologized for her insensitive comments the night before. She said she got too drunk and that she just wanted to take credit for setting us up and playing a matchmaker, but being drunk she blurted out some unnecessary things. I said, of course, you don't have to apologize, as I have to thank her for me and my GF going on that first date. After the BFF left, I went to my GF and shared my feelings, and asked her why was she hesitant on going out with me. She then took my hands in hers and told me that it just felt awkward to her. She had known for years that I had a crush on her. On top of that, I was younger and junior than her. Her friends from back home sometimes used to tease her by taking my name, and almost all of our mutual friends know about my crush on her. So when I asked her out, she felt awkward, because, 1, I was more into her than she was into me even before going out on a single date, and 2, I had her on a pedestal and she was certain that reality was never going to meet my fantasy, so she wanted to avoid going through this. Also, she thought I was a weirdo. She admitted it. LOL. But after her BFF went to bat for me, she decided to go out with me, and then let me down easy after the 2nd of March dates. Then I asked, well, what changed after the first date, and she said, well, you didn't give off any weird vibes. Yes, you were very happy and nervous as a result, but I didn't get any creepy vibes from you. You were just a guy with a crush, with whom I had insane chemistry even on the first date. And now, 3 years later, I think I have a bigger crush on you than you ever had on me. After having this conversation, we went out to have dinner at the same restaurant where we had our first date, and even tried to order the same dishes, but alas, they had discontinued one of the dishes. Then we decided to order something entirely new, which we both had never had. Anyways, that was the update, guys. Thank you for reminding me how lucky I am. LOL. P.S. We will be going ring shopping in the first week of December. I'm planning to elope because my parents are trying to make me agree to letting my sister's boyfriend propose to my sister at my wedding. Maybe this is the wrong place, but I'm going to explode with rage and disappointment at my family. My baby sister is a golden child. Or maybe that's unfair to say. She survived cancer when she was a child. It was the darkest period of my parents' life. I don't remember much of it because my parents shielded me from the horrific truth. I knew she was sick, and I remember all my childhood spent in hospitals, but never did I know that my sister almost died until many, many years later. I was 12 and she was 10. After she beat her sickness, she became the obvious favorite in the house. She got everything she wanted, and sometimes it was at my expense. I resented that, but I always heard that I was a naughty girl for being jealous of my hero sister. My sister grew up to be a brat. Now, 20 years later, she's still bratty, although we get along a lot better than when we were teenagers, young adults. My wedding is in July. Neither my fiancé nor I have the money for a big wedding. We settled for small wedding, 30 people, at my fiancé's grandparents, who have a beautiful house with lake view. My parents, when they heard this, said no way and offered to pay for a bigger wedding and better venue. We didn't agree at first, but later we did not want to disappoint them. It seemed like it was important to them. Last week, my mom invited me over. My dad, mom, and my sister's boyfriend asked me what I would think if my sister's boyfriend proposed to my sisters during the wedding, so it becomes an engagement party as well as a wedding. Mom has seen reels on Instagram about people proposing to maid of honor's bridesmaids and thought it cute. My sister's my maid of honor. I said, no, that's ridiculous, and laughed. My mom was livid. She told me I was selfish and ungrateful, and I accused her of favoritism. I told her I always thought it was odd that you'd pay for my wedding, but now I know the reason why. She started crying and kicked me out of the house. Later, both she and my future brother-in-law sent me texts warning me from exposing their plan to my sister. My fiancé was disappointed but not sure what we could do. My parents have spent almost $30,000, and it's too late to cancel. My mother called me today to plan the proposal, and I begged her not to ruin my day. She told me since she was paying, she can make requests and that I should let go of my jealousy and resentment towards my sister, because she's innocent in all of this. But the thing is, this day will be about my sister. I told my fiancé to ask his grandparents if they are still willing to host my wedding. If they are, I'll revert to our original plan. If not, I will just elope. Not sure yet if I'm going to tell my family and cancel the wedding or just let them have their grand proposal party. None of my family is invited to my wedding, including my sister. Thank you for listening. I can't tell her since she has no idea her BF is going to propose, and this would ruin the whole thing. At the same time, it will be ruined anyway when I elope, and she wonders why. But as of this morning, my mom still says they are going ahead with the proposal even without my help. The original plan is that I should be the one making the speech and telling my sister there's a surprise for her, and today is about us two, blah, 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 and then her girlfriends and boyfriend do SOM rehearse dance to their favorite song, and then he proposes. If I know her well, she wouldn't mind being proposed to on my wedding day, so it's a lose-lose situation for me. Sometimes I think maybe I should agree and get it over with, but I'm so angry and my fiancé actually doesn't want me to cave this time, since we both were happy with the backyard wedding. We even asked Mom to donate what she had planned on spending on the wedding to the Childhood Cancer Fund, in our names like what we requested as a wedding gift from our guests, but she insisted on a party for the extended family. I had a back and forth texting with my future brother-in-law, where he called me jealous and bitter. I have now blocked him. He texted my fiancé apologizing, but we didn't answer. My plan now is to get married a week early at my grandparents-in-law with 20 guests, because we have managed to change our honeymoon trip booking to be 3 instead of 2 weeks with departure day the morning after the wedding. My mom's wedding is already paid in full with no refund possibilities with such short notice, 3 weeks. That was the whole point, I think. To spring this information on me so close to the wedding date, so I can't really do anything about it. Now they will have 1 week's heads up anyway when they see my wedding pictures on social media. They will probably just turn the wedding into an engagement party and have a blast. So it's a win-win, I hope. Update. I really want to thank everyone that showed me support. I'm now happily married and in Como, Italy for my honeymoon. I tried to stay away from my phone, but I was so curious to see my family's reaction to my elopement a week earlier than planned. It was really ugly. I must start with saying that I really tried my best to negotiate and compromise with my family and truly explain that this was hurting me. I have nothing against my sister and TBH nothing against her getting engaged on my wedding, but the principle that it was made very clear to me that I had absolutely no opinion or say in what was going to happen on what's supposed to be my special day was where I drew the line. It wasn't a wish or a request. It was a matter of fact, and it was decided. So I told my mom that I'm not going to attend the party she's paid for. Maybe they should just make it an engagement party instead. She got very upset and told me that the engagement was supposed to be a surprise. I told her that I was just giving her the heads up since she's about to lose an insane amount of money. She didn't take me seriously, like I wasn't going to cancel my wedding because of a trivial thing. What she didn't know is that I've already made plans to get married a week early at my grandparents-in-law. We invited our closest friends, and some even had to book earlier flights and take more vacation days. For these people, I was extra grateful. What was left was my sister. I'd been back and forth arguing and negotiating with my parents and FBIL. I decided that even if this would ruin her surprise, I had to tell her, so I did. She wasn't really happy with my mom, but she was more upset that I ruined her surprise, and she, as I expected, thought I could have just sucked it up and gone with the flow. I didn't tell her about my new wedding date. The wedding was dreamlike. In the back of my head, I was hurt the people who loved me the most weren't there, but I pushed that thought away and refused to let it ruin our day. My husband was amazing. He promised to make me happy for the rest of my life and to make up for every heartbreak I've experienced in my past. My in-law surprised us with upgrading our honeymoon to a 5-star hotel. I had my friends and some cousins and my favorite aunt attending. We asked them not to live stream or upload any pictures to SM until we're already on our honeymoon. We also asked them not to engage in any altercations online with my family. Today, my mom made long FB, Twitter, and Instagram posts bashing me and my husband, calling me ungrateful and disrespectful with pictures of my wedding, telling people I cost her a big chunk of her savings and she's now demanding compensation. Her FB post was shared about 200 times and the majority of my extended family is angry with me. She never once tried to contact me. I really thought she would bombard my phone. Instead, both her and my dad announced that they are cutting me off and are expecting compensation. FBIO commented that I ruined his surprise, and my sister made a post about being tired of jealous BS and haters. None of the people we invited has commented, even though some of them were directly attacked, so they respected our wishes. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and turn the wedding into an engagement party now. I really hope they do so the money isn't wasted. It's on Saturday. I'm sorry the update got too long, but with the amount of people asking for an update, I hope this was what you wanted. P.S. English isn't my native language, and it's too long of a post to proofreading, especially when it's written on my iPhone. Update. Yes, they did, and they blew the internet with pictures and posts about how magical the night was. Little sister made sure to write about haters not ruining her special day, and how she's surrounded by the people that mattered. From what I gathered, about 30 to 40% of the guests that were invited showed up. This means they can't sue me for the wedding, so all is good. I got fired for accidentally being an asshole to the company owner's disabled daughter. This happened on Friday. I've been drowning my sorrows all weekend, dreading the fact I have to start looking for a new job. Explaining why I got fired from my old job is going to be fun. I'm typing it up here to try and organize my thoughts in my head, because right now, it's all a mess. I had been with the company for 3 months and was still on orientation. My job was sales advertising. As a new guy, I was given existing accounts to manage, which consisted of providing customer service and convincing my clients to spend more money on advertising. All of these accounts already had their ad campaigns done, and if they wanted something new, the account was transferred to a senior account manager who would work with our advertising guys to put something together for the customer. Eventually, I hoped to have that job, but I had to pay my dues by proving I could maintain existing accounts and convince them to spend more money first. Everything was going great, until last week when we were scheduled to have our quarterly retreat. Since we were the main regional office in the area, all of the employees from the satellite locations came to our office for the retreat. The owner of the company rarely visits our office. He has been overseeing the setup of a new satellite office for the last year, according to my co-workers. But he was there for the retreat, as was his disabled daughter, Amy. Not her real name, for the sake of privacy. One of my co-workers told me Amy works at one of the satellite offices, and I probably wouldn't have much interaction with her, but I should be nice. That seemed like a no-brainer. I'm nice to everyone, regardless. I won't claim to be an expert on Amy's disability, but it seemed like she had childlike mannerisms and struggled with expressing herself. She also had some problem with motor skills. I'll describe the only interaction I had with her prior to the incident. I went to refill my coffee, and Amy was in front of me, getting her coffee. I watched her struggle with getting condiments added and putting the lid on, so I politely asked if she needed any help. She thanked me, said she did, and let me finish making it. While I was making it, she said she hated coffee, but her dad made her drink it because she had to, in a loud voice, always alert. I smiled, said that was definitely important, and handed her the cup. She thanked me again and went back to the office her dad was using, where she had been most of the day. I felt like I had been a good Samaritan and went on my way. Most of the retreat is team-building exercises. Prior to the incident, Amy only participated in the puzzle race, where groups put puzzles together without the box art to see which team can finish faster. Amy wasn't in my group, so I didn't have any interaction with her there. Neither of our teams won. The big event, and the one that everyone seemed the most excited for, was the last activity of the day. Our boss gave us a list of potential clients. We were supposed to select 3 as a group and put together something to attract the customer. We were told we would be judged in our creativity. My group explained that we could do pictures, slogans, jingles, whatever we wanted. Each person expected to work on one individually, then work with their group to polish it up before it was presented to everyone. It was kind of a big deal because at previous retreats, there would be clients on the list the owner was already close to bringing on board, and if you impress the owner, you might just land that account. I went with a jingle, rhymed a few words, and recorded it. It was silly but fit the brand. My group gave me some pointers. We made some improvements, and I recorded the final product for submission. I helped my team with their projects until it was time to turn everything in. After everything was turned in, we gathered in the big conference room to critique each other. The owner went through them one by one. If it was a picture or storyboard, he'd put it up, read it, and would make comments, good or bad. There were some that were great, which drew a lot of compliments, and some that were really bad, which we laughed about as a group. You could tell the senior account managers didn't care much about the exercise or put much effort into their pitches. Nobody seemed to get upset or offended, regardless of the feedback. When my jingle was played, it got a lot of comments, not all of them good, and I took the feedback with a smile. After getting my feedback, I felt a little more comfortable about sharing my thoughts on other presentations. I gave what I thought was valuable feedback to a few products, laughed at a couple others, and then a rather crude drawing was put up for the exact same company I had chosen. I immediately joked that, well, at least my jingle was better than that. Did a 3-year-old draw it? And laughed to absolute silence. I was really confused because plenty of people had made jokes and everyone laughed. Instead, a few people looked at me like I was disgusting, and the owner said, well, if you don't have anything nice to say, keep it yourself, maybe. Then my boss scooted down to where I was sitting and told me I needed to go to my desk. Now, I noticed as I was gathering my things that the owner's daughter was red-faced and starting to tear up. The team-building exercise was over for me. I went back to my desk, and it began to sink in that the drawing must have been drawn by the owner's daughter. There was no warning or anything. The owner didn't reveal who put together what we were looking at until after a few critiques. Maybe I should have known. Everyone was joking and having fun up to that point. Someone else had a pretty bad drawing that got laughed at. Either way, I felt awful. As soon as the event was over, I approached my boss to apologize. He told me to wait for him in his office. Long story short, I was fired. My boss said since I was still in orientation, he had decided I wasn't a good fit for the company, so it was better to let me go now. He didn't outright say I was being fired for making fun of her drawing, but that's literally the only thing that I've ever gotten in trouble for. My work, up until that point, had been praised. I didn't get much time to process it because my boss had already called security, who showed up fairly quickly and escorted me to my desk to gather my things before escorting me out of the building. An hour later, I got a call from one of my former teammates, who asked if I wanted to join the team for a drink one last time. They needed it after the retreat, and felt bad that they didn't warn me. I wasn't feeling up for it, but I wanted to try and make sense of the whole situation. So I went to the bar. In the back of my mind, I was thinking that since I'm about to start looking for a new job, a few references from former co-workers wouldn't be bad since I definitely won't be getting one from my boss or the owner of the company after everything that happened. The team explained that Amy comes to all of these retreats, and she always does some crude drawing like that. Everyone just sort of knows to say nice things about it and move on. One of my teammates said that once you've seen one of her drawings, you know what to look for. Well, I didn't, and nobody warned me. I started to get pretty upset that this was a known thing and everyone knew but me. But what could I do? I had already fucked up, and it cost me my job. The team also shared more about Amy. Apparently, she works at one of the satellite offices but doesn't really do anything. The people in charge of the office try to come up with stuff for her to do because she gets upset when she's bored. The team said the way the people who worked there described it, they were basically her babysitter, so she wouldn't bother her dad all day when he spent most of his time there, and after he moved on to establish the new satellite office. He didn't take Amy with him because she liked all the friends she had at that office. They also said that her dad had harassed a few single guys at the office to take her on dates, which seemed pretty damn HR inappropriate, but he does own the company. My team said Amy desperately wants a boyfriend and wants to get married, which she talks about all the time. The consensus seemed to be that there's no way she actually understands how relationships or marriage works, and her dad probably put this idea in her head to begin with. One of my teammates did joke that it wasn't a bad deal, because whoever married her would inherit the company since she is the old man's only kid. I wasn't really in the mood for jokes at that point after losing my job over one, so I told them I needed to go. The only good thing is my former team members did say they would gladly give me a reference if I needed it, since they felt so bad about not telling me about the Amy situation to begin with. Oh, and the cherry on top? Amy sent me a Facebook friend request over the weekend. I haven't accepted it. I already upset her and it cost me my job. Part of me wants to accept it, apologize, and block her, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that either. I'm going to take a few days to get myself together, and then get my resume out there. Edit. After reading all of the replies, including quite a few DMs, and talking with a close friend, I've decided that I'm going to accept the friend request. I'll do an update if there's any sort of conversation. I plan to open with an apology. If she replies, great. If she doesn't, then at least I will have a clear conscience knowing I've done the right thing. Update. If you saw my first post, you know that I got fired because I accidentally made a joke at the expense of the company owner's disabled daughter, Amy. During the last team building event of the day, we were pitching ideas for accounts, which included everything from jingles, my pitch, to storyboard to slogans to drawings. A lot of senior account managers were phoning it in, and people were making jokes about their work, which had a lot of people laughing. I got some jokes about my pitch and got a little overconfident. So when a crude drawing went up for the same account I did my jingle for, I made a joke about it. The joke was, well, at least my jingle was better than that. Did a 3-year-old draw it? My joke was met with stone-cold silence and a very negative reaction from the owner of the company. What my co-workers had failed to tell me was that Amy usually submits a crude drawing, which is a lot of work for her due to her issues, and everyone knows to say a few nice things and move on. I was new and wasn't informed, so my ignorance and inappropriate response cost me my job. After meeting with my team at a bar to begin the process of drowning my sorrows, I got a friend request from Amy on Facebook. That brings us to the update. First of all, thank you to everyone who made me laugh. The first time someone joked about me accepting the friend request, marrying Amy, and taking my revenge by inheriting the company made me uncomfortable. By the third time I saw it mentioned, I couldn't help but laugh. A lot of you gave me good advice. I appreciate those who talk about legal action and what options I had. Unfortunately, I was still on orientation with my company, which is like a probationary period. During that time, they can let me go for any reason. They could fire me for wearing the wrong color socks if they wanted. I had to sign an agreement to get employed which stated I understood this. There's literally nothing I can do, legally. At the end of the day, I decided to go have some drinks with a good friend, talk things out, and see what he would do. Dave's been my best friend since we were in elementary school. We probably spent more time together than some actual brothers. Dave was firmly on the side of accept the friend request, apologize, and clear your conscience. Man, I'm getting us another round of shots. He knows me better than anyone, and he knows that the guilt would eat me alive. I posted it here because it bothered me. I decided to take his advice, and everyone here who pushed me for that as well, especially the ones that DM'd me. So, that's what I did. I accepted the friend request. I immediately messaged Amy. I said I shouldn't have made that joke about anyone's work. It was unprofessional, and I was sorry. It took her a while to respond, but when she finally did, she thanked me for my apology, but said she sent me the request because she wanted to apologize since I lost my job over it. I said she didn't owe me an apology, and there was another long pause before she asked if she could copy-paste something to me. I wasn't sure what it was, but said she could. She pasted a generic message, but one she had clearly spent some time on. I don't want to type it word for word, but I'll paraphrase. Hi, my name is Amy. Please forgive me if I'm slow to respond to you. I suffered a brain injury when I was a little girl, and it takes me a while to type things out. There was more to it, but that's the basic stuff. I responded, saying it was not a problem, and she could take all the time she needed. Amy and I ended up messaging back and forth until almost 3 a.m. No, we didn't fall in love. We aren't going on a date. I'm not going to marry her for revenge so I can take her dad's company. However, I do think I would like to be friends with her. Not because I feel bad for her, but because she's a genuinely nice person, and honestly, everyone could use a few friends like that. We spent a lot of time talking about her. That's just the direction it went, so I asked questions since she seemed comfortable talking about it. Amy was in a car accident when she was a kid. She was in the car with her mom, and they were hit by a drunk driver coming back from a birthday party for one of her classmates. Her mom didn't make it, and Amy suffered a brain injury that impacts her motor skills. Because it makes it difficult for her to speak and do simple things like getting dressed, making coffee, etc., people assume she's mentally challenged. She was put in special ed because of it, but worked really hard and graduated from high school. She even wanted to go to college, but her dad didn't think it was a good idea. Her life has been difficult because it's hard for her to communicate with people. By the time she can get a fully formed sentence out, the conversation is over. She can type slowly, but most people don't want to type when they are face-to-face. She even admitted that when she's not at work, she will sometimes carry a tablet and pretend she's mute, because that's just easier. We eventually circled back to the drawing and my terrible response to it. She wasn't that offended by my response, because she assumed I didn't know. She got upset primarily because she knew all hell was about to break loose and she had no way to communicate with anyone. She was so upset when she found out I got fired and tried to talk to her dad, but he wouldn't listen to her. She's fully aware that a lot of people at the company just pretend to be nice to her because she's the owner's daughter, but she does have a few friends at the satellite office where she works who better understand her disability. She gets frustrated because she can't truly contribute anything, but is happy when they are able to find busy work for her to do. It might take her all day to do something another person could do in a couple of hours, but it's better than sitting around bored all day. She knows she's a burden and a bother to her dad when he's around, but is her dad and she loves him. She wishes every single day she was a daughter he could be proud of rather than a burden. She tries talking to him via emails and text messages, but he usually doesn't respond. If they're in the same location, he'll just walk over and respond verbally, which is frustrating because it becomes a one-sided discussion with her unable to do anything but give simple one-word answers like yes or no. She also thanked me again for helping with her coffee. She said that when she was younger, she tried to do everything by herself and would get mad when people helped her, but now she's learning to appreciate the few who do. Most just stand there and look away, pretending to patiently wait for her to do it on her own. It was getting late for both of us at that point. Really late. It takes her a long time to respond to messages. There's misspellings. I get why someone would assume she's mentally challenged. I myself referred to her in my first post as having childlike mannerisms, which was a misunderstanding on my part. When she tries to force words quickly or emphasize something, she gets really loud, which makes her sound like an excited toddler rather than an adult trying to have a conversation. We ended our talk last night agreeing to talk again sometime. She asked if I had watched the first episode of House of Dragon yet, which I have, and she asked if I'd like to talk about it after she watches it. I told her I'd love to. So that's it. That's the update. Sorry to those who expected me to steal her dad's company. I'm definitely not doing that. Talking to Amy did make me feel a lot better, though. I don't know how I'm going to handle the whole firing thing at my next interview, but a few of you suggested I just leave a gap on my resume, and I may just do that. I doubt there will be any future updates, but at least this is a happier ending than my first post. Hey everyone, I'm blown away by all the positive comments here. I guess I can give you small updates since so many people have read what I expected to be a throwaway confession post to help me organize my thoughts after having my life appended due to what I perceived as a joke, but was actually quite unprofessional on my part. As many have recommended, in my next job, I won't open my mouth unless I have something positive to say, regardless of what others are saying. That lesson is learned. So, on to the small update. I talked with Amy again last night. She loved House of Dragon. We talk about a few characters, and Amy picked up some things I didn't pick up myself, so I'm gonna have to rewatch the first episode at some point. I wasn't really in the right headspace the first time I watched it anyway due to everything that happened. Some of what we talked about last night was about me. I won't bore you with all the details, because I'm not that interesting, but Amy is a saintess. She spent some time researching jobs for me and had several interesting ones for me to check out. I decided to let myself breathe for the rest of the week, then hit the job hunt trail on Monday. I did find out some more interesting stuff about Amy. She currently stays by herself for the most part, in the house she grew up in. Her dad still technically lives there, but he mainly stays in an apartment near the newest satellite office. Amy thinks, and actually hopes he has a girlfriend, but he denied it when she asked. He pays the bills and everything and visits periodically. She also has a caretaker who comes once a week to help as needed, but Amy says she doesn't really need one because she can order everything she needs online, gets her groceries delivered, etc. Part of the reason she spent the entire day in her dad's office during the retreat was because she misses him. I've begun researching AAC devices, and it seems like there might be some app she can use, which I'm going to bring up since that's a quick download that could help her. Thank you to the commenter, one here, and one in the original update, who mentioned Western Governors University. That seems like the exact kind of program Amy needs for school, since she can go at her own pace, and while the school seemed designed for those who want to earn their degree quick, it would also allow her to take the time she needs. I don't know much about her financial situation as a whole, but she did mention that she gets an allowance from her dad, which is her paycheck for working. Seems like he just pays her through the company and calls that her allowance. I didn't really pry, but I'll bring up the university at some point and let her decide if it's feasible. I'm assuming she has some financial means, either through her dad or from saving her allowance, because she mentioned she donates and volunteers at a dog rescue. That was a compromise with her dad when she asked to adopt a dog, because he didn't think she could take care of it properly. I have been contemplating getting a dog myself, or was at least before I got fired. Amy suggested that I stop by the rescue when she's there, and she'll help me pick one out if I decide to do it. So yeah, I think I have a friend, and I might be getting a dog.
My husband-to-be wants everyone to know I'm not Pew. It's exactly what the title says. I've been with my fiancé for 6 years and engaged for the past 8 months. I've been doing most of the wedding planning, but my fiancé, let's just call him Ryan, will give his input here and there. So about a month ago, Ryan out of nowhere said he was talking to some of his coworkers and thinks that I shouldn't wear a white dress. This was totally weird to me. Ryan is a very artistic guy. So I figured this was more about how the photos would turn out or something along those lines, but I'm set on wearing white. I told him this and I could see that he was annoyed, but he let it go. 2 weeks ago I finally picked and paid for my dress, and this caused a huge argument. Ryan again came to me very annoyed. He asked to see the dress I picked, but I said no because I wanted it to be a surprise for our wedding day. He asked me to at least tell him what color it was, and when I said white, he threw a fit. I honestly do not see why this was a big deal. Almost everyone wears white on their wedding day. When I asked him what color he thought I'd be wearing, he told me I should wear red. Again, this was super weird to me. I asked him why I would wear red to our wedding, and he told me that brides only wear white when they are pure. For some background, Ryan and I started dating when I was 21 and he just turned 20. He was a virgin when we met, and I only had one other person who was my ex-boyfriend of 4 years throughout high school. This caused a lot of problems the first year of our relationship, and we almost did not continue dating because of how insecure he felt. After that first year, it was never a problem again until now, I guess. He went to his mom about all of this thinking she would convince me, but she's on my side. So 2 nights ago, Ryan, his mom and I stood in our living room and argued about my sex life being shown in a dress. His mom stated that he is no longer a virgin either, so maybe he should wear red too, and he burst out crying. Ryan is still stating that me wearing white would be deceiving all of the guests and that it is different for guys. This all has honestly made me question even marrying this man. I don't know if it's just because everything is so fresh, but I'm really disgusted by him. He's not even religious, so I know this is just about him still thinking about me losing my virginity at 18 before I even knew him. I just needed to rant to anyone about his psycho this is. Update. What do I wear on my first date in 6 years? I'm in my late 20s and just broke off an engagement. This is going to be my first date in many, many years. We're going to a nice waterfront seafood restaurant in North Carolina. It's a beach, but also November, so I have no idea what would be appropriate.